Alright, I'll get this started. Hi, Chase here. I'm author of The Descendant with another book review. This time I'm discussing The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. This will be the third and final time I talk about something written by Robert Heinlein. I figure by now, 3 in a row, the horse has been well flogged, alive or not.
New blueprint synthesized.
An idea I had mentioned in my previous review for Starship Troopers was that Stranger in a Strange Land invoked a religious or philosophical introspection, and Starship Troopers caused scientific intrigue. The Moon is a Harsh Mistress caused me to sit and think about politics and government and law. I'm not telling you that's what the book is for, or that's what the author's intention was. I'm merely telling you that that's what it did for me. The Moon is a Harsh Mistress is just one among many that Heinlein has written. For example, others like The Cat Who Walks Through Walls. And, we can't, not being, in Heinlein's mind, we have no idea what his intent was. The Cat That Walks Through Walls, directly follows The Moon is a Harsh Mistress, but that involves time travel, and it gets weird, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, and I don't want to fall down that well again if I don't have to. I'm here to talk about The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. Let me start off with saying that the main character is one of the most human characters I have ever met. Maybe it's because we both work technical jobs and work long hours, but the main character is one of the most human and relatable characters I have ever read. Even, not just in science fiction, but in any literature. I'm not sure if he is my brother, my friend, my father, or myself, perhaps all of the above. But in my experience and opinion, this is the best case of character-to-reader contact / interaction / attachment that there is. He is human and relatable and imperfect, and he gets tired and short-tempered, but he keeps working and trying and has feelings and holds grudges and is a complete, deep, well-rounded character, one of the best I have ever read. If you have a book with a better, more complete main character, please tell me down in the comments below. I'll have to read it to believe it. I'm not going to talk about my political opinions or those of the author or what the book is trying to invoke, merely that, especially in the latter half of the book, the politics and the government play an increasingly important role, and if you do not pause to question your own beliefs and the actions of the world and its various governments and that of those and the occurrences in the book, during and after having read the book, then I think you should read it again, more slowly. Morals, ethics, and politics aside, it's a heck of a story in itself, and the science in it is fantastic. Right down to the physics and the math of lunar and Earth orbits and travel in between, and fuel for spaceships and so on. It's very well done, and Heinlein did his research on the subject. And I find no fault in any of it anywhere. In my opinion, it gives the events that much more impact. I think the real-worldness helps add to the story as it limits the characters and actions of those characters on both sides of the conflict. But it's also adds to the shock and awe, a demonstration of the true power of something as simple as dropping rocks from orbit has during the climax at the end of the book. And, the added implications that this isn't an exaggeration, this is really possible, this is, what would happen, what the effects are, makes it that much more close to home. The Moon is a Harsh Mistress is probably my favorite book by Heinlein. And it's pretty high up there in my favorites of all time. I'll tell you what, though, since the title includes the words harsh and mistress, I have no idea what I was expecting going into the book when I first read it a couple of years ago. But it was not what I expected in any way, and that's probably a good thing. I've had much more personal development and growth from this than I would have from what I thought it was going to be. I reread the book a second time before writing this review, and I'll tell you what. it's just as good the second time. The concepts are so multifaceted and deep that even if I had chased down all of the political ideals laid out by the book in the first time I read it, now that I reread it, there's still plenty left to provoke thought and provide entertainment. You could just read into the strange lunar marital system and all the other customs that their culture has developed. And, that enough was a garner to my attention this time, politics having already been contemplated, or grokked. If you've read Stranger in a Strange Land, you'll know what I'm talking about. Even if you ignore all of those ethical implications proposed in the book about governments and politics and so on, it's still an excellent and riveting story about the unlikely triumph of an underdog. And as always, I won't give you any spoilers. I don't want to ruin the story for you, or for anyone who hasn't by chance read it. But let me tell you, I love it, and it's one of my favorite books of all time, and certainly my favorite by this author, and I recommend it to anyone, for it has so much to offer as a case study on penal qualities, or politics, or ethics, or government, or the working class, or polyandrous marriages, or physics, or science, or space travel between Earth and the Moon, or just to make a new friend with the main character, to feel like part of a revolution, to don a red cap and say, "Free Luna," or whatever it is that excites you. I implore you, maybe I beg you, to read this book, because it's one of my favorite books of all time, and I regret not having read it earlier in my youth. I guess as an author I should plug my own writing too. My book, The Descendant, is available on Amazon and will be down in the description. The sequel is coming soon, and they're completely different environments. But here in the background, I've got some footage from Subnautica, which is also a very strange and harsh planet and environment, just like living on the moon would be. But it is very strange and harsh and different from our planet, in ways that are very different from the way the moon is strange and harsh and different. So, while completely unrelated, it's not completely unrelated, if that makes any sense. Anyway, before I go rambling too much further, I think that's all I'm going to talk about with the Heinlein. 3 books is a little heavy, but I had to start somewhere. If you have any suggestions on what I should read next, let me know, and if I have a copy or if I can go find a cheap paperback from my favorite local bookstore, I'll be sure to do that. I'm not sure what I will pick up next. Maybe something by Orson Scott Card or John Scalzi. Those two, along with Heinlein, were probably the 3 most influential authors for my own writing and development. And there's the alarm. I guess I have to go finish cooking stuff. Anyway, thank you for your time, your interest. What is this little guy? He doesn't seem to care that I'm here. Anyway, please leave a comment if you have read this book, or if you haven't read this book, or if you have ideas for a different book that you think I should read. And I appreciate your time, and I'll see you in the next one.